Hey guys, how you doing? So the subject of today's video is change and making changes, and um, probably the most significant change or point of change. Like usually, if there's going to be a change in behavior, whether you're overeating, whether you're not training enough or not exercising at all, like maybe you're really overweight and you're doing both of those things. Um, whether it's like the lady the other day, overcoming trauma, overcoming PTSD associated, like her one was with dark hoodies, for example. Um, you can make an almost instant change, and we've all had moments like that where, like for example, if you won lotto, immediately the second that you realize that it had happened, your life's probably not going to be the same again, and you might meet the love of your life, you might get dumped. Like in those moments, there is a significant change and it happens very, very quickly. Um, but we can change it for the positive in the same way that negative things happen to us. So a car crashes into our car and we're immediately traumatized by it or whatever. But you can take advantage of the same mechanisms when it comes to positive change. The only thing you have to do is have to find something that's more painful than not changing. So, for example, I can't remember the lady's name, but a long time ago, and I'm talking maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I heard about a case of a lady who was really, really overweight, wouldn't do anything about it, and she got on a flight to go somewhere, and she couldn't fit in the seat that she'd purchased. The seat beside her was available, so the air hostess said, "You can purchase the seat beside you if you'd like." Anyway, that was painful enough for her, the realization that she could no longer deny the fact that she was grossly overweight. And that was the pain point. That was the point at which she just decided to get up. I'm not buying that other seat. I'm getting off the plane and I'm doing something about it. And I wish I could recall who it was. I can't recall. But she went out, got fit, changed everything, set up like a whole fitness lifestyle business based on what had happened to her and her newfound passion for fitness. So the passion she had for eating and the passion she had for fitness were the same passion. She just needed to get to a point where it was more painful to remain in the habit she was in than it was to change. And once you get to that point, then it happens instantly because you've made that decision. And I guess for me, probably one of them, well, it has to be like the most significant thing that's happened in my life is maybe 4 years after smashing up my back. I was having anywhere between 100 and 150 spasms a day in my lumbar spine. I mean, it's like a whole body. It's like being electrocuted by your whole body hundreds of times a day. You don't know when it's going to happen. It would happen all night long. My partner had to leave and go live somewhere else because I would be literally screaming in the middle of the night from getting electrocuted by my spine. It was a horrific time in my life. And after like 4 years, I found myself lying on the kitchen floor, excuse me, and typically if that happened, and wasn't usually anybody home during the day, I could get stuck anywhere. I could collapse anywhere and I would be literally almost frozen there, unable to move. If I moved, I'd be electrocuted again by my spine. And after 4 years of this and having fallen on the kitchen floor and had spent hours there trying to get up, I decided to kill myself. And I grabbed a knife off the bench and I rang my mum. I told her what, I was in tears, obviously, and It was a horrible situation. I told her, she knew what I'd been through. I said, look, I can't go through this anymore. I can't deal with it. I want to end my life. And I hung up on her. And I lay there with this knife on my wrist. It's the craziest thing, but I'll never forget it because I was wanting to find a reason to stay here on earth. I was trying to think of a reason to not do it. And I think that when people do commit suicide, they just run out of options. They run out of reasons. And so I was searching, and I'm like, is it my mum and my family? And that was a no. And then I'm like, is it my partner? And that was a no. What about my kids? Even that wasn't powerful enough. And I don't know, it sounds crazy, but when I realized that I had a use when it came to jiu-jitsu and passing on what I knew, and that was something that made me useful in the world, and that is something that I could do. Even if I couldn't do much myself, I could pass on what I knew and improve people's lives. And that was it. Like as soon as I kind of thought about that and realized that I had a use, yeah, as soon as I made that decision, that's the thing. All the other thoughts went away. Yeah, there was no longer the thought of killing myself. There was just the thought of, okay, that's my thing. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm meant to do. And now I'm on a new path. It was literally a second decision. Once I realized that that was the deepest passion inside of me, and that's something that I felt that I was useful for, then all the other thoughts of killing myself and worthlessness and things like that vanished. And I rang a friend of mine, an ex-student of mine, who had a big academy nearby, and I asked him if I could go in. And I said, I don't know what sort of state I'll be in. I'm on a lot of different painkillers. I could collapse and scream and all these sorts of things, but I want to try. And I'll be forever indebted to him because, he's a very kind individual anyway. And so I started going down there, and yeah, I was a bit of a mess sometimes and stuff. And I couldn't actually perform things very well. What was in my head and what I knew should be done was different than what my body was able to do. So it just enhanced my passion for teaching even more because I could see and I could explain what needed to happen, even though physically I wasn't able to do it myself. And so that got me out of that whole negative mindset. I ended up chucking away all of my painkillers and dumping all the medications. Against all the doctor's advice, I threw the whole lot out. And then 6 months later, I won, maybe even less, maybe even 3 months later, I won a 100K mountain bike race. So, yeah. So I'm not a fan of pharmaceuticals, to say the least, because I spent 4 years being absolutely wrecked by them and wasn't a fan. But anyway, the point is that if you want to make a change, yeah, you have to find something that's more painful, yeah, right, than staying where you are, yeah. So you have to find that point, yeah. Whether you're drinking, and here's something to think about as well. We have moving towards and moving away from values. We all have them, right? And it's not like an individual is only one or only the other. In some circumstances, you'll be one, and in some circumstances, you'll be another. So it's very important to see, when people are, for example, trying to motivate themselves to do something or not do something, then it's important to pay attention to the internal dialogue, the internal language that you use when you're successful at something. Yeah. Maybe you don't like working out. but you manage to go out and walk or go for a jog. Yeah. So what was the internal dialogue that you were using in your head that was successful in getting you out the door? Was it negative? In other words, were you berating yourself and telling you how fat you are and you're a loser, and also looking at the negative, like you're going to die if you don't do this, like, you're overweight and fat, and punishing yourself with that? If that got you out the door, yeah, then you have moving away from value, yeah, right? That's the language that is most powerful at motivating you, yeah. It's not always about always being positive. It's not, because that doesn't often work, yeah. Just trying to be positive all the time, and come on, man, be positive. Like, this is good for you. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, yeah. And so it's totally okay, I think, to use negative motivation. I use it all the time, right? And this is not just about me. I've spoken to lots of people. I've studied this. It's a thing, right? Some people respond really well to positive self-talk, yeah, whether it's internal or external, right? They respond really well. Like, they convince themselves that what's successful for them is them saying, okay, come on, you can get out the door, you want to be healthy, you're going to get fit, summer's coming, you want that bikini body or whatever it happens to be, and you're really positive, and that works for you, getting you out the door. The thought of where you're going, the picture of you being leaner and, feeling more confident as a result, and these sorts of thoughts and feelings, that's what was successful in getting you out the door to go on your run or go exercise or whatever it is that you're trying to do. That doesn't really work for me, and for many people it doesn't. So for me, I'm highly critical of myself. It's one of the things that many high achievers are like. They berate themselves, and that's motivation, yeah? In fact, they kind of pump up their opponents. And you hear, like, David Goggins talk about how he uses all the negative comments. He keeps them. He records them, the mad bastard. He records them all on a tape, right? And then, so he reads the negative comments, then he creates a voice message of those comments and makes a tape and listens to it when he goes running, because that's his motivation. People saying that you can't do something is super motivating to a lot of people, yeah? Oh, you'll never do that. Yeah, you couldn't do this. That's super motivating. It's challenging, and a lot of people sometimes need that thing to push up against. They need a little bit of resistance. They need a little bit of fight, a little bit of FU, yeah, to show these people who he's never going to meet, right? But that's his motivation, is he uses that as a tool because he's recognized how he responds best. And what motivates him best is to shut other people up. And he responds very well to negativity, right? Not surprising given his childhood. And that's probably where it comes from. Yeah, like, I had very negative parents as well. The only time that I ever got any sort of praise at all was when I won sports stuff. And so it's not surprising the two go together. In order to motivate myself to do well in sport, I don't think about all the positives, the health benefits that could come from it. And, I'm going to, I'm reducing my likelihood of diabetes, but no, it doesn't work like that for me. And it doesn't work like that for a lot of people. Yeah, right? So pay attention. Like, when you do have success in motivating yourself, regardless of what the task happens to be, was it moving towards, I want to be fitter, I want to be healthier, there's a goal there, I want to reach that goal. Is it moving towards values? Or are you, I don't want to be a fat ass, I'm going to show those other people, I'm going to show my ex, whatever the negative drive is. The main thing is not whether it's positive or negative, like which is best. It's like what works for you, what's best for you. Yeah, and it's super important. It's really interesting because some of the most positive people that you'll meet, like, hopefully when people meet me, I'm really positive and enthusiastic and encouraging and motivating and stuff like that. You know, I'm a realist. If someone's, you know, like doing something negatively for their health, you know, and it seems to be affecting them, I'll have a word and I'll be straight up with them about what I see, because I think most people wouldn't say anything. And, you know, I'm a caring person, so I want to reach out and help them. Anyway, so pay attention to that stuff. It really matters. It really helps. And you can change your life in a split second, but you have to find the reason for it. Yeah. Right? You have to find the why. Why should I do this? Yeah. Anyway, that's my little speech for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps you motivate yourself a little bit more. I'll see you next time around. Bye.